去訂啦，而家中途站，其中一個叫做Anana嗰啲旅遊巴士啊。呢啲啊，嗰啲狗仔，係狗嘅嘢。呢度係鐵路嘅轉運站，呢條就係鐵路橋，行火車嘅。呢個河流好濁。啲水啊好濁。嗱，呢邊就係條公路橋，行巴士嘅。就我哋啱喺呢邊過嚟。係啊。所以呢個係嗰個最的上唔睇咯。啲冰幾時用？呢度埃斯格嘅 Anana， 但係睇上嚟咧就係啲舊屋嘅，好似第三世界咁。
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine.
住睇文 Henry 嗰個壁。
Tell her to make me a Cambridgeshire deep forest, parsley, sage, rosemary, and tracing a sparrow on snow-crested brow, without no seams nor needlework, 'cause the child of then she'll be a true love of mine. Unaware of the clarion call, tell her to find me an acre of land, a sprinkling of parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, with silvery tears between the salt water and silky strands and palms. Then she'll be a true love of mine.
That were added in 1980. So let's step back in time a little bit to 1906. Imagine coming to this area. There were no roads.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a Cambridgeshire deep forest, parsley, sage, rosemary, and tracing a sparrow on snow-crested brow, without no seams.
但唔係冰咧，係水
啲
啊！
水嘅。
即係嘅山
When you get up here
應
to
該
the Princess Lodge, you'll be able to walk out your back to the back of the
就好
property.
似個門咁樣。
you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. Tell her to
When you get up here to the Princess Lodge, you'll be able to walk out your back to the back of the property and view that river.
So you can walk
They're going to green up. Come August, they're going to begin to turn red. Maybe towards the middle to the end of July, they're going to begin to turn yellow. And that's one of the signs of fall. So who eats the lichen? Well, it's the caribou.
Shot?
Yeah.
Take it down low.
Now if we take a look off here to the left, the willows that have the leaves on, and you can see some on both sides of the road, those are diamond willows. You may see diamond willows walking sticks in the gift shops for sale.
And gather it all to fight for your cause. They've long ago forgotten.
Can everybody see the mountain? We're going to stop out here. There's another.
McCamey Mountain.
Tell her to reap it with a sickle of blazing in scarlet battalion. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. So order their soldiers to kill and gather it all to fight for your cause. They've long ago forgotten. She'll be a true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives
น้ำที่ส่งทำไมตั้งที่ส่ง
She once was a true love of mine.
Bruce.
Bruce, no. Bruce, no. No, it ain't. Okay. But, you know, regardless, all conifers, all cones
Oh, we have pine cones.
go through photosynthesis, giving us oxygen. Keeps us alive, doesn't it? See how we're related? All related. So we help too, don't we? As we breathe, we exhale carbon dioxide. Certainly the trees will take that in. Right now, this willow here doesn't have any leaves going on it yet, but we're just helping it grow. We're breathing on it. Well, now you got a moose comes up the trail and starts eating all the leaves, chewing on the twig. You just became part of it. Yeah, sometimes we don't think much about all next year pine cones, right? But you know how important it is to your very life? How many people we got on the restroom still? Take care of that other bus coming up here, so you want to lead these guys up? You know what? Remember, you're in Grizzly country. And Grizzlies.
Must have been here before. She just started this year.
So if you're
She
wearing
comes every year. She does? Yeah.
you're at it, you'll be at a great risk.
Yourself into the park, trip into the park so far? Yeah. All right, a good bit of enthusiasm. I like it. Now, I don't know where about something. You share that enthusiasm with a hearty and how. So, let me ask that again. Are you enjoying your trip into the park so far? Though you may not be able to tell, I am the chief ranger by my attire. And I'll be honest with you, it is our tradition as rangers to be in full dress uniform, greet you at the train station, and act as sort of a personal liaison as you make your way through the park. But today I know you're in good hands with your tour driver, and I wanted to show you the way things are most days when we're dressed to work. Now, if you have not yet been welcomed, let me be the first to welcome you to Mount McKinley National Park. Also, let me welcome you to Savage Cabin. Now, Savage Cabin was originally built next to the Savage River, about a mile from the Savage Camp, named after Mr. Tom Savage. Well, Strand was his last name, actually. But Tom Savage was his nickname due to his partial Native American heritage. Now, I believe that the cabin, the camp, as well as the river were all named after Mr. Tom Savage because he was a bit of a jack of all trades here. Before the park became a park, he was a miner, a prospector. He even carried the mail for a while. And now, don't worry, we won't give you any of Tom Strand's old jobs, as he was also a market hunter. You are familiar with the role the market hunter played in the formation of the park. Well, for those of you who aren't, let me see if I can paint a picture for you. This area of the Alaskan Territory was host to one of the last great gold rushes. Fairbanks, our closest city, was a fairly bustling city. If you were a market hunter in those days, your job would be to bring meat to the hungry workers, particularly Dall sheep, because they were plentiful and fairly easy to kill. I can tell you, if you were a market hunter in those days, there were some best practices you'd want to follow to try and make the most money possible. One, when you shot the Dall sheep, rather than carry back the entire carcass, you just want to cut off just the hind legs. Those are the choice cuts of meat, and that way you could load up your sled with a lot more meat and make a lot more money. Also, you'd want to shoot all Dall sheep in sight. Even if you had a sled that was, you happen upon a herd on a return trip, you would be sure to take the time to kill them. That would do two things for you as a market hunter. One, it would prevent the other market hunters from making the kill themselves, and potentially drive up the price of the meat, making it seem a little bit more scarce than what it actually was. And lastly, you'd want to shoot the competition. Now, obviously, it's still illegal here in the Alaskan Territory to kill another man. You'd be tried in a court of law just as you would in the 48 states. What I'm referring to are any bears or wolves along the trail. They're hunting the Dall sheep just as well, if not better than you are, and so therefore they're the competition. Even if you had no interest in the pelt or the meat, you'd want to take the time to kill them. Now, using these barbaric methods, the market hunters of this area were killing Dall sheep.
Mà như con lúc cái phòng phim có槍，嗱你睇下嗰啲槍旁邊揾釘條，成咁啊，好嘅，嗱呢啲嗰啲槍啊，全部要揾釘住啲紅。啲車就停喺呢度啊，又叫盡頭啊。但係如果自己揸車或者點樣咧，佢仲有下路去嘅。
Everybody okay with their pictures?
Yep.
Thank you.
Does anybody like to fish?
We want
Well, you can try it here.
差啲啊！
The only thing you might catch is some Arctic grayling, and you'd have to hike up about a mile. Now, Savage left, and on the left is filled with silt that's run off from glaciers. So fish don't live. But Caribou Creek is just off here, the left as well, but it's to the right side of the left. That is fresh water. You hike up about a mile, Arctic grayling, and you can see where the two of them come together. Hugo arrives here in April and will leave in August. They're cousins, the seagulls, but I don't see any hanging around here. Oh, wait a minute, there's one out there, and you know, once the snow melts, they'll build their nests. So maybe they're working on building their nests.
Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine.
就係呢邊 mechanic 拎住。嗱，睇唔睇到嗰度啊？好多雪。過呢邊。
佢前啲落啦你。
嗱，我哋雪都仲喺個山嗰度。啲成班遊客聽住啊，聽講解。嗰邊就係北邊。
嗱，依個好精彩啦！而家企起身嚟㗎，個樹遮住咗而家。係啊。得幾啦？而家睇到頸，佢個角度睇唔到，啱啱個樹。
Anybody else still need to see the moon?
Yeah. No, coming out now. Coming out now.
Okay, let me pull up some more.
嚟幾大隻咧？睇唔睇到啊？嗱，成隻喺嗰度啦，睇到啊？睇到。大啲，之後佢中啲又再細落去，你睇下，一成先睇到。
而家嗱係呢隻啦，呢隻係可以流咁啊！睇咗幾個鐘頭先睇到佢。咁
Everybody seen the moose?
Move up a little bit. Yeah， 呢度最清楚啦。Right now is 最
Moose can have 1, 2, or 3 calves. Siblings will stay together. Like they may be yearlings, they may be year-old, but sometimes if it's a brother and a sister, they'll just stay together.
So what happened this one? 好清楚啦。
呢次我都好清楚啦。
好清楚啦。
Everybody got their pictures?
Yes. 乜黃色？
Are we ready to move along? they'll begin to lose their velvet off their antlers, usually somewhere in August.
佢喐啊！
Hanging off wolves or whatever.
呢個灰灰嘅頭髮上，
即係
And
好
weigh about 40 pounds.
睇到佢喐啊，但係好遠，
太遠啦，
睇到黑色。
睇唔到隻動物係咁。
And they have their winter colors. They are white around the breast. Now that moose calf will stay with mom for 1 full year. And just before she's ready to give birth, the next spring, she will chase off last year's calf and get ready for the new life. You may wonder why. Does Mama Moose keep her baby with her for a year? Well, that's up to the baby to learn all those tricks and techniques.
Those trees are like salt and pepper.
Now, initially, when moose calves are born,